Okay, this song is My Hope is Built on Nothing Less. And notice on this one, the time signature is 3/4. So we have 3 beats per measure. Quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, so we would use the 3 pattern to direct this one. All right, so again, remember we got a 2 pattern, a 3 pattern, and a 4 pattern. 2/4, use 2 to direct 2/4. For 3/4, we would use 3. Now, notice you got your measure bars here. So between each measure, you need 3 beats. And notice on this one, this first measure, you do not have 3 beats. You only have 1 beat. Okay. A lot of times in songs, you do not start with a complete measure. All right. Now, as long as the song is written correctly, then if you take the last measure of the song, all right, which down here, notice, Sinking Sand, and add that to the first measure, you will get a complete measure. So if the first measure does not have 3 beats in it, then if you add the last measure and the first measure together, you should get 3. And the way this works, on this last measure, Sinking Sand, you got 1, and then you got 2, and then back up here at the beginning, this would actually be 3, a pickup of 3 into this first full measure. So you'd have a 3, you have one first beat, second beat, third beat, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. All right. Now this bold bar here, it really is there just to show the end of this phrase. It's really not a measure bar. The measure bars are not as bold as that one. Okay, so the measure does continue. This is just showing this is the end of the phrase. So this would still be 3, measure bar, 1, 2, 3, measure bar. In newer notation, music notation, newer books, that kind of thing, they would just leave the bar off completely here and just leave an open measure going into this one. But this is copied from an older hymn book, so that's how they were notated. Measure bar, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And again, same thing there. This is a measure bar here because we do have a full measure here with this one. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Alright, so I did all of that one. Alright, so let's go through first and let's just show where the beats are and be sure we can feel the beat before we start trying to conduct it. Alright, so this will go, my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. Alright, now let's conduct it. Now again, notice the first measure is not a complete measure. So if you want to think of it as you come in on 3. Oh, and first let me just look at the 3 pattern. Alright, the 3 pattern is down, out, up, down, out, up, down, out, up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright, and this one you start on 3, so I would go 1, 2. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. Alright, and one thing to notice here is every time that you have a bar line, 1 is always right after it. Okay, so as soon as you see the bar, you always come down right after the bar. So if you ever get mixed up, the 2 pattern is not very hard. It's just down and up, down and up. But when you get into 3 or a 4 pattern, sometimes you'll get off with your pattern. And if you ever do, you can always say, well, where is my next measure bar? And be sure you go down after the measure bar, and then you're back on track again. Okay. All right. Let's go through this one. So 1, 2. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. And one thing I will point out here, notice at the end here, they've got this little symbol here above the last note. Now that is called a fermata. Some people call it a bird's eye, but it is a hold, and it is a hold that has an unspecified amount to it. Okay, so you can hold it as long as you want to, or you can hold it as least. You cannot even hold it at all. You can just keep going. But it's up to the leader or the singer as far as what you're doing. Now, if you're leading singing, of course, the congregation needs to all do the same thing. So it's up to the song leader how long to hold that note. So when you get to the end of a song, you really have 2 options here before you go to the next verse. And I only do this on this one song. But you can either keep the beat going and just go right on into the next verse, or you can hold, stop, and then go into the second verse. So here, if I start with the chorus, on Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. When darkness veils his lovely face. So there I didn't pause. I just continued on. Can do that. Normally we do stop and pause at the end of a verse, and this song is probably one where you would want to do that on. Some songs, though, lend themselves more to just ending and continuing right on in the next verse. It just depends on the song. But if we went, on Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. When darkness veils his lovely face. So I stopped on sand. All right, and one thing that a bird's eye or fermata does definitely is the beats stop when you get to that point. So you don't want to keep beating after you get to a fermata. You want to just stop, cut it off, and then start that second verse right back. Alright, this next song is in 3/4 as well. Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. And I've already went through and written in where the beats are and the measure bars. And notice on this one, when you get to the end of the phrase, they don't have the bold bar there. It's just an open measure going into the next one. So a lot of newer notation, song notation, they do them that way rather than putting those bold bars. If you look at an older hymn book, though, they're going to have those in there. But this one, just like the last song that we did, we do have a pickup. So like the first measure is not complete, it's only 1 beat. The last measure has 2 beats. So the last measure you would have 1, 2, and then this would be a 3 pickup here in the first measure. Okay. All right, let's go through first and let's let's just do the beats and be sure we can feel the beats on the song. So this one goes, come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me ever to adore thee. May I still thy goodness prove, while the hope of endless glory fills my heart with joy and love. All right, let's direct it. So we pick up with 3. So 1, 2. Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me ever to adore thee. May I still thy goodness prove, while the hope of endless glory fills my heart with joy and love. Okay, now this is one where you could do, like I said, the last song that we did, My Hope Is Built, that one you probably want to pause on the end of the verse before you go to the second or third verse. This one, though, you could just keep the beat going and go right into the next verse. So on the last line I could go, while the hope of endless glory fills my heart with joy and love, here I raise my Ebenezer, just like that. Or you could go, you could pause and hold and then start. So I could go, while the hope of endless glory fills my heart with joy and love, here I raise my... So either way is fine. One thing you don't want to do is not give the last note both beats. So you want to be sure to at least give them 2 beats before you go on to the next verse.